Have you ever woken up already feeling overwhelmed? Like before your feet even hit the floor and your mind is already racing. You kind of know what to do and what the day holds, but nothing feels clear and nothing feels prepared. And you're just jumping into the day hoping you don't forget something. Friend, I used to live like that. And what I didn't realize was this: my mornings weren't the problem, my evenings were. In this episode, I'm going to show you the simple evening routine that helped me finally feel peace when I laid my head on the pillow and woke up feeling prepared instead of overwhelmed. Because your next day really starts the night before. So let's go ahead and dive in. Are you a Christian entrepreneur feeling overwhelmed and burned out, struggling to find balance in your business and life? Well, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Bridget, a wife, an entrepreneur of over 23 years, a mindset coach, and a woman who loves the Lord. I help you move from burnout to balance through simple daily systems that bring peace back into your business and your life. If you're ready for some simple strategies, real life resets, and a little encouragement to help you feel hope again, take a deep breath, close a few of those tabs in your brain, and let's dive in together. And before we dive into the episode today, I want to remind you that I have an awesome guide for you in my show notes. It's just a free guide of 8 of my favorite things that I did to go from burnout to balance. So I want to make sure you didn't forget to grab that before you leave today. I really hope that it blesses you. I want to be really honest with you. There was a season in my life where I would go to bed with my mind still running, thinking about everything I needed to do, everything I didn't finish, everything I didn't want to forget the next morning. Have you ever felt that way? I feel like there are 1 million sticky notes or open files in my mind when I'm trying to go to bed and rest. And then I wake up and I already feel behind and overwhelmed, already reacting to the day instead of really leading and controlling what's going to happen in that day. And I remember thinking, why does everything feel so chaotic even when I'm trying so hard? And the truth was I was carrying everything in my mind. Like it was just a constant loop of all the things I needed to do, trying not to forget things, trying to hold it all together. And it wasn't just affecting my productivity, it was affecting my peace. I wasn't resting well. I wasn't sleeping deeply. I wasn't waking up refreshed. And I realized something had to change. And what changed everything for me was not a complicated system. I just really adapted to a simple evening routine. So that's what I want you to hear today, that peace doesn't really come from having less to do. It comes from closing that loop on your day. So your mind doesn't have to carry it all night long. And that's exactly what I want to show you that I did today. Every evening, I sit down and I do what I call a brain dump. I write out everything that's in my mind. To-dos, things I don't want to forget, things I need to follow up on, because your brain was not designed to store everything. It was designed to process, and when you try to hold everything in your mind, it just keeps it all open. Like I said, the little sticky notes all over your mind, and that's why you can't rest. So I want you to take this and keep it really, really simple. I love to really just make this so simple because in my life, I cannot handle any more chaos and things going on that just create a lot of extra time, I would say, to create the organization. That kind of defeats the purpose, right? If we're doing something that's really hard to do, so if it's complicated, most likely we are not going to do it. So I find that it needs to be really, really simple. So the first thing you need to do is have a simple notebook, maybe a simple journal, or just a simple piece of paper. And just ask yourself, what's in my head that needs to be written down? What needs to come out? What do I need to dump out of my mind? And you want to write it all down with absolute no structure, no perfection. Just you want to release it. Sometimes that's the most therapeutic thing you can do, is just to get it out of your mind and onto a piece of paper. So that's the first thing that I always did, was to start with a brain dump every single evening, because it really did help me just to breathe for a minute and know that I've gotten it all out so that I'm not trying to hang on to it and remember it all night long. The next thing that I do was I really wanted to reflect on the day. I wanted to really look at how the day went and reflect on what went well, what didn't go well, and what could I do better tomorrow. Those are really the 3 questions that I ask myself in the evening. I like to journal in the evening. I like to spend time with the Lord. And in my journaling, I also love to just reflect on the day, because I find some people just rush into the next day and they don't really take time to reflect on actually what happened in the day they're in that moment and really evaluate it. So let's go back over those questions again. What went well today? What didn't go well today? And what can I do better tomorrow? And if you caught my episode before, I talked about boundaries and setting healthy boundaries. And this is also a time of reflection, even to say, where were maybe yeses that I gave that maybe didn't serve me, my family, or my business? I've always said if it doesn't honor the Lord, if it doesn't further my business, or it doesn't better my family, then it's probably not my best yes. So as I reflect on my day, I think about what did go well, and I want to celebrate that, because I think celebrating the wins, even small ones, is so important. We're always so critical, I feel like, of ourselves. So when we just celebrate those wins first, I think that's so important. And then we can look at actually what didn't go well. And that way you can really look at, okay, where do I have areas of improvement? And then what do I feel like I can improve for tomorrow? And so because when we just go into the next day without really learning from the one day that we just lived, and without reflection, we just continue to repeat the same patterns. But when you do pause and reflect, you do create some awareness, and awareness will create change, even in small steps, even in baby steps, but it does create change. So this is where I also bring in gratitude. Because just like when I evaluate what went well, I really want that to also be a place where I can just simply pour out to the Lord and thank Him for all that He has done. And that's not just business related. When I talk about what went well and the things I'm thankful for, that is everything. You know, sometimes our mind is so bad about clinging to the negative. And so just always starting with that sets us in such a better foundation. I just want to always thank Him for what He has done. I want to acknowledge that I can do none of this without Him, and really have that time with Him first and foremost. And then I want to gently look at what didn't go well without any shame or judgment of myself, but just, you know, from a true, just factual data of what actually didn't go well. And then I want to ask myself, what could I do differently tomorrow? And this is honestly, to be really, really transparent, this is where your growth is going to happen. We can look at what went really well. We can look and see where we can fill in the gaps and make changes. And that really is the part that I think is the most powerful. So after I brain dump and I reflect on all of it, I look at what tomorrow holds. So then I'm going to go ahead and look at my tomorrow schedule, and I get clear on my priorities. And I do this because I believe that uncertainty builds anxiety. In me, it does anyway. And I believe really having clarity is going to give you a lot of peace so that you can rest at night. And when you don't know what tomorrow looks like, your brain keeps trying to figure it out all night long, or you stress about it. Maybe you don't get the best sleep, because when you're already decided, it's clear, you know what the next day holds, then your mind can truly rest. So I think you look at the list. I think you identify your top priorities. You be realistic in everything that has to be done. And then I think you simply identify and decide what matters the most. And then I want you to hear yourself say this, because I think this is really important. I don't have to do it perfect, but I just need to get it done. And what are the biggest priorities for the next day? To be truly intentional with that. You will sleep better when you know what tomorrow holds and that you're giving yourself grace as well. I like to say a statement that I love recently that I just came to my mind. It was called Pace with Grace. And through my podcast, we're going to be talking a lot about pacing with grace and how the Lord will use this journey of entrepreneurship to teach us so much. And one thing that I did learn is how to just really pace with grace. So I'm sure that's going to be a whole episode in itself. But I want to say that I want you to know this, and this is the truth, that rest is not optional, and that we need good sleep. Our bodies just thrive with better sleep. We know that. And also it's biblical, you know, scripture, one that I love that I have, that I read all the time: in peace, I will lie down and sleep. For you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. And that's Psalm 4:8, one of my favorites. You were not created to carry it all. You weren't created to not rest, to not have good sleep. We really need that as entrepreneurs, and also wearing a million other hats. You were created to release it, trust God with it, and also rest. And I think that's the piece too that I wasn't doing. I could write it all down, what went well, what didn't go well, what can I do better tomorrow. But I also found that through my years of striving, as I mentioned in my very first episode, that I loved the Lord, but I wasn't truly giving him the pieces of my business because I found that anxiety sometimes was still there. And part of that anxiety was still there because I wasn't resting in him. I wasn't trusting him in it. I was doing it in my own strength and in my own ways and really wasn't surrendering the next day to him, my activities, my business, my family, my priorities. And that really was so important and such a key piece. So just implementing this strategy in the evening with my brain dump, with allowing myself to stop the overwhelm and just really allowing myself to surrender to the Lord in gratitude, acknowledging what didn't go great and how I can make tomorrow a better day. I believe that God's mercies are new every single day. I actually have the number 8 in my office. If you know anything about that number, in the Bible, the number 8 is a new beginning. And I honestly love having that number on my desk because it does remind me that every day is a new day. And no matter what happened yesterday, that today, my friends, is a fresh start. It's a new day. So as we wrap up today, I just want to remind you, you don't need a perfect system. You just need a simple rhythm. And we're going to be talking a lot about the rhythms that I have built over my 23 plus years as an entrepreneur. I'm going to talk about some really cool morning routines, things I've done in the middle of the day. We're just going to dive into so many of the things that really have helped shape the way that I show up as an entrepreneur. But this simple rhythm is a brain dump. You reflect and you prepare. And that's it. And I can tell you from experience, this changed everything for me because now I lay down at night to rest and I truly do feel peace. But I also feel peace because I know before I really fall asleep, I just say, Lord, I give it all to you. I surrender it all. And surrender's hard. And I feel like as an entrepreneur, sometimes I can speak for myself. I have struggled with surrender. And it's not because I don't love the Lord and I don't trust the Lord. But your business is your baby. And yes, I know it's all his. We are stewarding the gifts he gave us. But just as flesh, I'm just speaking honestly, sometimes that surrender is hard because you want to give it to him and then pick it back up. I call that selective faith. It's like, okay, Lord, I'm going to trust you with this, but not trust you with this. And I know you're not saying that, but it's just sometimes in our mind that, okay, I think you can handle this one, but I think I'm going to keep this one for myself. And in reality, I know that's not right. And I know the Lord has it all. And I'm sure he laughs at me and says, Bridget, I have it all, honey. Whether you think I do or not, I've got it all in the palm of my hand. And I really do know there's peace in that. It's just sometimes our flesh wants to stay in control, and he's always there to remind us that we are not. So I hope that this is going to help you just bring some peace, to just try something maybe new in your evening routine that maybe you haven't done before, to really just try to implement. I find it takes a little bit to form that habit. They say, it take 21 days, I think, to form a habit. So it took me a while to get used to sitting down with that little book and just writing down my gratitude, writing down what I was thankful for, everything that needed to be fixed, what I want to do different, even put my prayer request in there if you want to, but really just have that one place and be excited at night to just have that time to just breathe and lay it all out. So I hope this did bless you. And I do want to remind you that I do have my guide that's just 8 simple steps from burnout to balance. It's in my show notes. So please make sure you grab that. It is some of my favorite things. And also stay tuned. We've got more fun things happening with our fun community on Facebook and things that we're going to be announcing here in the future. So stay tuned for that as well. So until we see each other next time, I hope you have awesome rhythms and peaceful rest, my friends. Be blessed, and I'll see you soon. Hey friend, I hope this gave you a little more clarity and a whole lot of hope today. And if it did, would you share it with another Christian entrepreneur who's juggling all the things too? And if you haven't already, leave a quick review. It helps more women find this space. And remember, you don't need a full restart. Maybe you just need a simple reset. Small steps done consistently really do create change. And there is so much hope in that. So take a deep breath. Today is a new day, and you've got this. and I can't wait to see you next week.